Hello everybody, this is Catholic Dad, episode number 47. I want to talk to you today about abortion versus property rights and the extreme positions of both. Let's see, I just went for a run, so I'm kind of sweaty and coffee and tired, so if I cough too much, I apologize. Maybe I'll redo the video. Well, anyway, abortion rights and property rights. So let's talk about property rights first. So the extreme position of property rights is either A, you own no property, or B, you own all your property. And if you own all of your property, the very extreme position means it's all yours and nobody could ever take it from you. And if you hold that position, then taxation would be a violation of your property rights. And I actually truly do believe taxation is a violation of your property rights, but I also believe it's in the order of justice that you can actually create systems of taxation for the common good. Based upon your property. And people that do take the extreme positions of property believe there should be no government, and they're essentially like absolute libertarians or anarchists in one direction. That has never worked in the history of the world. Maybe one day we'll be able to purify ourselves as a human race well enough to actually take that position, but that I believe is the extreme position of property rights, that you don't believe anybody under any circumstance should ever ask you to contribute to anything because it's your property and you should do all things voluntarily. And let me just actually point out that I believe that the things that can be done voluntarily are better off voluntarily. I don't believe that systems of taxation should take on responsibilities that are best solved in charitable or lower ways. I mean, that's the principle of subsidiarity. Now let's talk about reproductive rights and abortion. Let's take that to an extreme position. Somebody who claims, and women in particular we're talking, that their reproductive rights are absolutely theirs and nobody can ever ask them to do anything with their reproductive rights. And so they can do whatever they want. They can contracept all they want. They can abort all they want. They can abort up to the point of birth. And that, I would argue, is the parallel of the extreme property rights. That if you have extreme property rights that nobody could ever tell you what to do with your money, period, no matter what. If you have extreme reproductive rights, nobody can ever tell you what you can do with your reproductive rights at all. Now, here's the hypocrisy of the whole thing. The people who tend to hold the pro-abortion position, or the extreme positions on abortion, are also the ones that tend to hold the extreme positions on property in the opposite direction, meaning that they're typically in favor of heavy systems of taxation. They tend to like big government, tend to like liberal expenditures, and so they do not believe in the extreme position of property rights, but they do believe in the extreme positions of reproductive rights. And that's an hypocrisy, and one in which I hope that everybody meditates upon, because it doesn't make any sense to me. And I mean, if they wanted to be intellectually honest, they would say, you can't touch my money, or you can't touch anybody's money no matter what, or you can't touch their bodies no matter what. That's at least intellectually honest and consistent. Or the other way it would be is the state can tell you what they want you to do with your money no matter what, up to like a maximum taxation of 90% or something like that, like Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders has been talking about today. Or they can tell you almost what you can do with regards to your body and your reproductive rights. I think everybody would think that's a violation of governmental rights and that people can't do that. So I'm calling out for a more leveled approach to this thing called property rights and reproductive rights. And I'm actually appealing to those within the abortion industries, those who are pro-abortion personally, because if once they figure out that their position is extreme as total anarchy with regards to property rights, and then they're going to have to start thinking about it. Like, unless they want complete sexual anarchy or reproductive anarchy or whatever it is, that is not healthy for a population of people. It's not healthy for anybody. That's why we create limitations for the common good of others. I mean, we have roads that we have to build. We have post offices that we build. We have, common defense, police departments, schools, you name it. There are certain things that people have to contribute to in society that actually create a violation of their property rights, but they have to do it by law because it's good for the common good of society, and it's how we all walk together as a common culture. Now, with regards to reproductive rights, I would also argue that the commodity you create through your pregnancy is more beneficial toward the common good and the common culture than your property rights, and that therefore the same limitations that we could place on property rights in society, where we can actually seize the money from people and through a system of taxation and put it towards the common good, we also need to place limitations on the system of reproductive rights for the common good of society. And also, and that's just the argument with regards to the common good, but also there is a third party member involved here, people that really had nothing to do with the entire process, but is I guess, collateral damage in the argument of abortion. And so the unborn, we as a society has a vested interest in protecting all people, particularly the weakest and most vulnerable of all of us, for the common good of society and the common culture. And that person, like, if you think about it, 61 million of those people have been aborted so far. How many people have you aborted that would go on to be, I don't know, the next president, the next inventor, the next cure of cancer, or potentially the spouse of your future children? I mean, or potentially the spouse of your children have been aborted. Think about that. I mean, that's pretty scary. Or, if you're not married, potentially your spouse has been aborted. That wonderful mate, that soulmate of yours, that you could have went out and formed a family with, it doesn't exist because of it. And so, therefore, in summary, taking an extreme position on reproductive rights with regards to abortion, I would say is more extreme than taking an extreme position on the absolute property rights. And because the people who support absolute extreme positions on abortion also support big systems of taxation, liberal government, so on and so forth, they need to realize the hypocrisy in their argument, and they need to kind of tailor back their arguments a little bit with regards to their own abortion rights, because we all as citizens have obligations towards each other, whether it's through the voluntary forfeiture of some of our property rights or the voluntary forfeiture of some of our reproductive rights. And so take that one, put it in your pipe and smoke it, and try to form a better argument. I think that's actually reasonably good. And I'll keep thinking about this. I just thought about it on my run. I was like, that makes sense if you think about it that way. So God bless. Try to pray the rosary daily, get the Mass, get the confession, and Catholic Dad signing off. Thank you. Have a nice night.